Hey, how we doing, Dodgers Nation? Doug McCain here. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMac_LA. For all latest Dodgers news and rumors all off-season long, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and if you want to see us post even more Dodgers videos, smash that like button. And as always, I want your takes down below in the comment section. Today's Dodgers Nation question of the day: what are the percentage chances that the Dodgers will sign Max Scherzer, Clayton Kershaw, Albert Pujols, and Corey Seager? Give me your percentage chances for each of those Dodgers free agents down below in the comment section. And for all latest Dodgers news, head over to DodgersNation.com. So just like that, the Dodgers are in full off-season mode, and pretty soon we've got to get down to business. This is going to be a massive off-season for Andrew Friedman and the powers that be within the Los Angeles Dodgers. This is going to be one of the most active and consequential off-seasons in recent memory, and I think there's so many big decisions they have to make, and we're going to break down all those big decisions that the Dodgers are facing this off-season in the coming days and weeks. But today I'm going to give you some percentage chances for some of the big Dodgers free agents and their chances of returning to LA next season. Today we're going to do Corey Seager, Clayton Kershaw, Max Scherzer, and Albert Pujols. But before we get into that, MLB Network insider Jon Heyman, also known as Scott Boris's ventriloquist dog, he was on the Big Time Baseball podcast hosted by Cody Decker, and he predicted where some of the Dodgers' key free agents will end up. Here's Jon Heyman's prediction as to who will be signing Corey Seager.
Seeger, he's the one lefty in the bunch here. We covered Baez earlier. He's another shortstop, and I go back to the Cubs. But Seeger, the last one left. I'm going to say because he's the lefty in the bunch, the Yankees need to balance it. And getting your catcher, they're not going to balance it that way. This is the way to balance it at shortstop, and that would be Seeger with the Yankees. And they've reset. They had a payroll under the $210 million threshold, so they certainly can afford to do it. The one caveat there is that their two best prospects are both shortstops a couple of years away, Peraza and Volpe, but Seager's a guy who could switch over from short to third in 2 or 3 years.
Always feared the New York Yankees. Look, he looks like a New York Yankee almost. You don't see him with the facial hair. His parents grew up in upstate New York. All the Seager boys grew up as diehard Yankees fans. I remember when Seager played in New York for the first time in 2016. They made a big deal about it because Seager idolized Derek Jeter growing up. And I also just think the Dodgers, they have Trey Turner. And Trey Turner, of course, can take over the shortstop spot. So if they were going to sign Corey Seager, they would have to slide him over to third base. Now, would he be willing to do that? All indications are that he will, but he's still going to require a massive payday. You're going to have to pay him somewhere in the ballpark of $240 to $300 million, something in that range. That is how much money he's going to warrant this offseason. Now, are the Dodgers going to have serious conversations with Corey Seager? I believe they will. It's not going to be a Manny Machado situation where they have no interest in trying to re-sign him. Look, Jon Heyman reported before the season started that the Dodgers were interested in extending him before the start of the 2021 season, but who is his agent is the Thanos of sports agents, Scott Boras. And Scott Boras can be very difficult to work with. He's going to want to try to test those waters and get as much money as he can for his client. So if Corey Seager wants to be a Dodger and he feels comfortable in LA, I think the Dodgers will be more than willing to offer him a respectable contract. But like I said, I don't anticipate them overpaying just to keep Corey Seager. I don't think it's a situation where you just back up the Brinks truck and give him a blank check. I don't think it's to that level, but I do think they want him back. And look, you don't let players like that get away. You want to try to retain those guys if you can. A two-time All-Star, Rookie of the Year. He was drafted by the Dodgers. He won the NLCS MVP, the World Series MVP. He's a career 131 OPS plus player for this franchise. He's solid. And also, if you move him to third base, will his hitting improve because it's a less demanding position than playing shortstop? So that's another thing too. Now, there are those durability concerns with Corey Seager, but he has had some fluke injuries. I do think that he can stay healthy. I'm not overly worried about that. For me, it's just, do you want to massively overpay for him if the Yankees are willing to? And also, maybe he has his heart set in New York, because we've seen that some guys, they just want to wear those pinstripes, and that is that. And at this point, it's about Corey Seager wanting to re-sign with the Dodgers as much as the Dodgers wanting to re-sign Corey Seager. And right now, my gut feeling tells me the Dodgers have a 40% chance of re-signing Corey Seager. I'm going with 40%, 60% chance that he leaves the Dodgers, but I'm going with 40%. Now, the next name that Jon Heyman talked about was Max Scherzer and then also Clayton Kershaw. So here's his predictions for where Max Scherzer and Clayton Kershaw will sign this offseason.
Well, Scherzer, we have a hint, because when the trade deadline came, he was pretty clear that he wanted to go to California, and it did seem like he favored Southern California, at least to me. I could be wrong. And obviously, he did very well with the Dodgers, ran out of gas a little bit at the end, but no arm injury. So I think the Dodgers, they love the guys on short term, the big stars. Obviously, Bauer did not work out. Maybe they'll recoup some money. They probably will recoup some money when he's suspended, presumably. And I think that money probably goes to Scherzer. So I'm going to say Dodgers for Scherzer, although I think the Angels will be in there pitching, no pun intended. And Kershaw, it's going to be interesting to see whether he gets the qualifying offer after a year in which he was injured at the end of the year. I suspect they probably give it to him.
So when it comes to Max Scherzer, he was outstanding for the Dodgers in basically 90% of his starts. He had those clunkers towards the end there against San Diego. He went 5 1/3, gave up 5 earned runs. At Colorado, he went 5 innings, gave up 5 earned runs. Then at home in the wild card game, he goes 4 1/3 innings. He gave up that 1 home run. And then you saw in Game 3 against the San Francisco Giants, that was his best start in the postseason. He went 7 innings, allowed just 1 run. The Dodgers, they lost that game. It was the first time of the season that the Dodgers lost in a Max Scherzer start, but then he started to fade. You started to see him break down. He was fatigued. It looked like he had ran out of gas, and it really was taxing when he came in to get those final 3 outs against the San Francisco Giants in Game 5 of the NLDS. Like Dave Roberts said, anytime you use a starter like that out of the bullpen, it comes with a price. And did it cost them in the NLCS? Because in the NLCS, he goes 4 1/3 innings in Game 2, gives up 2 runs, that 2-run shot by Jock Peterson, but wasn't able to go in Game 6 due to some arm fatigue. So if you're the Dodgers and you want to bring back Max Scherzer, I think one of the first things you do is you see what happens with Trevor Bauer, because Jeff Passan, Jon Heyman, they have both said that it's likely that he is going to face a suspension, and if he does, the Dodgers will be able to recoup some of that contract. And can you use the money towards Max Scherzer? Well, you're going to need more money than that, because there are going to be teams out there that are going to offer him a large sum of money to bring him in and be that guy. And Max Scherzer, it was reported that he wants to pitch until he's 40 years old. He's 37 now, so that means you're going to have to give him 3 years on that contract. He's probably going to want at least $25 to $30 million per year, maybe even more than that. So will the Dodgers be willing to overpay for Max Scherzer considering his advanced age? Now, if you look at the velocity on that fastball, you haven't had that precipitous decline that we've seen with Clayton Kershaw, but I do think it's a little concerning to see how his season ended. He was carrying this team for so many weeks, and he was one of the big reasons why the Dodgers were even able to get as deep as they did in the postseason. But I think if you're LA and you see what happened this season with the fatigue to Urias, to the fatigue to Walker Buehler, maybe you want to get younger, because the last thing you want to do is give Max Scherzer that bag, and at some point, Father of Time will catch up. Remember, Father of Time is undefeated, and when that comes, you really want to have him locked up. So to me, I think the Angels are a big threat. I did a video on that 2 months ago too about Max Scherzer going to the Angels. I think that's a very real possibility, but I do think that if he in fact wants to stay on the West Coast, that the Dodgers are the best fit. So I do give LA a solid chance of re-signing Max Scherzer. I'm going to give them a 64% chance of re-signing Mad Max. I definitely think it's in the cards, especially if they get out from underneath the Trevor Bauer contract. That's a big factor. If they're not, I think it's closer to 50-50 or even 45-55, something in that range. Now, for Kershaw, I'll keep this one short and sweet. I think there's a 90% chance that he's back in LA next season. I think there's a 5% chance that he goes to the Rangers and a 5% chance that he retires. But the big development was after that injury that he sustained in the third to last game of the season against the Brewers. Brewers, he did not have to get surgery. He did not require TJ or anything like that. He went with the PRP injections, so hopefully he can get right and be ready to go by the start of spring training. And I think that you just can't let Kershaw go away. Look, I don't care if they have to move Dallas to Los Angeles. He has to retire a Los Angeles Dodger, and they're going to make tons and tons of money off of him post-retirement through marketing and everything and all the products that they're going to have with him. So have him retire, because this is not going to hit the same in Cooperstown if he ever wears a different team's hat. So keep Kershaw in LA. And then lastly, Albert Pujols. Here's Jon Heyman's prediction onto where Theo Albert will be playing next year.
Pujols, maybe this is nostalgic. I've got him going back to the Cardinals. I think he did enough in the postseason and for the Dodgers that probably can get a job, particularly if we have the universal DH. And I'd like to see him back with the Cardinals, again, with that DH possibility there in St. Louis.
So you guys know I love me some Albert Pujols. I could have really used a Theo Albert bear hug after the Dodgers lost Game 6. But if you look at his postseason, he had a .627 OPS, 5 for 17, and 0 extra base hits. So didn't have that big home run or that big double. He did come up big in some spots as far as getting base hits and just having that nice two-strike approach, getting on base, showing the young kids how it's done. But I do think that the Cardinals make a lot of sense for Albert Pujols, especially if you're going to have the DH in the National League. If we get the universal DH, it makes a lot of sense. He goes there, he retires with Wainwright, he retires with Molina. He kind of rights the ship in St. Louis. It didn't end very well with Pujols and Bill DeWitt Jr. and the powers that be in St. Louis. He felt that they lowballed him. Lots of drama there. So I think he would like to go back there and end on a high note. You know he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and I could definitely see that. On the same token, though, he's been in Southern California for over a decade, from the Angels to the Dodgers. He was so popular with the fans. You could see him hit his 700 home run in Dodger blue. But at the end of the day, I would give it a 40% chance that he re-signs with the Dodgers, 60% chance elsewhere. He is playing in the Dominican leagues, so that will tell you that he isn't retiring. So there is that. But let me know down below in the comment section. I want your percentage chances for each of these players: Seeger, Scherzer, Kershaw, and Pujols. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMac_LA. For all latest Dodgers Nation merch, head over to GearUp.LA. Download the new Dodgers Nation app. For latest Dodgers news, head over to DodgersNation.com. And until next time, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.